What is up, guys? Doing another one down stealth video, and today we are doing the Yacht Heist with no skills, 75 detection, and no assets. On this heist, of course, the no assets really isn't going to matter all that much, since you can only buy body bags, but you know. So as you saw at the beginning screen, I had 120 skill points left over, and I went into my weapons screen so I could show you that I did in fact have 75 detection. Because throughout this run, I will be using no HUD, so I won't be able to see my detection meter. The only way I'm going to be able to know if I'm being detected is by the detection sound. So, it'll definitely be more of a... It provided more of a interesting challenge, to say the least. Definitely couldn't rely only on visuals, had to rely on audio cues, and I didn't really know where I was being detected from. It also was interesting because I had to search for like the laptop objective in the very beginning, as opposed to just knowing where it was by the objective marker. Of course, I go to check downstairs first because that's the easiest area to get to, and there are two computer spawns down here. So I got one of the two computer spawns in the basement, which was pretty good. Almost everything was on the main deck. I believe there was a room, cigar and wine, a lifeboat, and then a bookshelf. No, I'm sorry, maybe it was an aquarium and not a room. I think that's what it was, actually. Yeah, it was an aquarium and not a room. So this aquarium in front of me, cigar and wine, and then whatever I just said, bookshelf and something else. Lifeboat, there we go. This is a pretty straightforward stealth heist, so I figured this would be a little... And honestly, it's one of my favorites to do. It's short, sweet, to the point. The guards are pretty static in their zones. They don't really leave their zones all that much, so you kind of get a good sense of where guards are going to be going and all that good stuff. Of course, there's still that little bit of randomization in Payday, and sometimes there are pathing errors. And actually, there was the guard that's in the middle aquarium room on one of these attempts I was doing had walked from the aquarium room out onto the main deck, where I had just left these two dead guards out front, and I think I had two tied down civs, so he came and ruined my run. And that's another kind of bad thing about not having a HUD, is you can't tell when items that aren't you are being detected. Like the question mark won't pop up when somebody is seeing something suspicious. It is a little problematic, but now, I did get the detection sound right here, but I actually didn't get detected. I've had that happen quite a few times before in stealth heists, where a civ will be like right on the verge of detecting me, and the detection sound will go off, but the civilian actually won't go into the animation of freaking out and getting down and all that good stuff. So thankfully my run didn't end right here. I just kind of kept on until I thought I was going to hear the music change, so I knew for sure that I was in trouble. But turns out it was just a false detection, which I was pretty relieved about. So I'm going to force my way back to the cigar and wine. This area can be a little bit tricky to maneuver in the back without taking care of the guards, simply because these guards are kind of the most annoying. Sometimes they'll bunch up together and kind of walk together, and other times they'll meander around and in separate ways, and it makes it almost impossible to get from anywhere without running into one of the guards. So it's doable, but it's a little bit aggravating, especially since civilians will spawn on either... They can spawn in either hallway, or they'll spawn in the back in front of the cigar and wine area. In some cases, both sets of civilians will spawn, and that can be kind of aggravating. So I had to take these two guys out right here, doing an unfortunate detection. But it's quite alright. I wasn't too bummed about having to kill them. It just makes maneuvering back here quite a bit easier. And let me pick up these artifacts just because. It is kind of weird not getting any confirmation that I'm throwing the bags down into the water, but I just took it in good faith that I was actually doing it. Of course, I'm free to just tie these civs down so that I can go ahead and take these two artifacts. Again, not really for any purpose, I just I just felt like it. The guards are already gone back here, so may as well. So of course this left me with 3 pagers, or not 3 pagers, left me with 1 pager. Due to having to kill the one guy up front on the main deck, and then having to kill these 2 guards back here. So I did manage to get back to Cigar and Wine, and no really crummy civilians on this side. I was a little bit worried that there would be civilians in the center area, but thankfully I don't think that they were. No, there weren't. It's usually pretty unfortunate whenever civilians spawn back there and you have, and your Cigar and Wine sticker thing is also back there. I decided to go ahead and take this guy out just to make maneuvering a little bit easier. The last objective I needed to get, of course, was the bookshelf, and the bookshelf area is usually pretty easy to navigate around unless you just get a really bad spawn, and then the lower area is usually pretty easy to maneuver around in as well. So I just decided to go ahead and burn the last pager so I could save myself a little bit of time and aggravation. Decided to take care of these civs in the most humane fashion that I could possibly think of. I enjoy this heist a lot. I probably would have gone for all loot if I would have had, if not skills, then at least an ECM jammer, because I did bring a body bag case instead of a ECM jammer. And reason for that is I would have liked that little bit of coverage as I was trying to leave, because there's nothing worse than having the heist basically completed and then going to get extra loot and getting caught, having all your pagers burnt up, and then the guard shoots at you and alerts the whole boat, and then you lose, and it's just really unfortunate. So I didn't want to waste my time doing that, especially if I didn't have a backup plan. I decided to go ahead and launch these civs over the side of the boat. It's pretty lucky that a guard wasn't standing in the doorway right there, because I didn't bother to check. Now, I mistakenly thought that I had already got the bookshelf here for whatever reason, so I was going back down to the computer, and I got to it, and I couldn't interact with it, and I was like, what the heck? And oh, right, I gotta get the bookshelf. But thankfully, the bookshelf's ridiculously easy to get, so I'm also pretty lucky that that guard was looking that direction as opposed to at me. The guards can't see you when you're down in the stairwell, so it really didn't matter that his head could poke up and see me. I wasn't too thrilled about these guys being here. I didn't have any cable ties, so I just had to kind of shoot them and hope that the guard that walks in the aquarium area wasn't going to see them through the open doorway, so I had to bag them up and throw them behind the glass doors. I threw them behind this one because, of course, I didn't want the guard that patrols around the dining area to see them through that open doorway that I just opened, so I threw them behind this glass door so they'd be hidden from view so long as I didn't open the door right there. So then just kind of casually sneaking up into the bookshelf area. I can't really figure out why there's a bookshelf area on this yacht, why they have like a library. That kind of just occurred to me right now. I don't understand why at a fundraising event you have a bookshelf at a yacht. It just doesn't make sense to me. Thankfully, these civs were being pretty dumb. Or not perceptive, I guess would be the better way to say it, so that I could go ahead and get through this area. Good cash spawn on this side so that I could just grab it from the back. You can grab those money bundles through the bookcase, so if you get a drawer on the other side, you can still grab the money bundles through the bookshelf. But you have to open them on the same side that the drawers are on, and I really didn't want to mess with that at all. On the other side, it does make it a little bit more difficult. So I just decided to go ahead and get around that if I possibly could. Or I had a good spawn, so that means I didn't have to mess with it at all. So now I'm actually able to go downstairs and get the hack going. Although I was persistent in trying to knock down this painting. For some reason it wouldn't fall over. I think I had already kind of knocked it over, it just hadn't fallen off the lip of the crowning there. But Oh well. Of course, I wanted to be careful right here, because the last thing I wanted to do was try to crouch jump across this area and then get immediately detected. But thankfully that guy wasn't being too perceptive. I also positioned myself pretty nicely so this guy wouldn't see me while I was interacting with the computer. Here I'm trying to get him detected. The only time I use the Thanatos in this run is to go ADS so I can highlight the guy with the Thea Magnoscope. Magnoscope is definitely a word. With the Thea scope. The Thea magnified scope is what I was trying to say. But somehow that became Magnoscope, whatever that means. So this last portion is actually pretty straightforward if you know just like one or two tricks. I was really fortunate in getting a really good spawn for the setup down here. They were all interconnected. It's probably my favorite spawn to get. I did have to be a little bit careful because the guards can see through the cracks. Normally that's not a problem if you have like regular detection. So, you know, usually in Stealth Heist you're working with detection like 10 or below. Under most circumstances. However, of course I'm doing 75 detection, and definitely want to try to be careful in this last part not to get detected through the cracks, get insta-detected, and then just kind of be up crap creek without a paddle, because that'd be pretty unfortunate. Thankfully, the buttons do get highlighted, so I don't have to search around and just mash all the buttons. As you can see, the button got highlighted there. And if you stand up, you can interact with them through the floor, so I actually didn't have to go up top and meander around and try to work around the guards. It was actually pretty convenient. And I guess the reasoning you could do that if you wanted to apply some quote-unquote real logic to it is there are small spaces, you know, in between the column and the floor, so maybe you're just reaching your hand up and poking the button from below that way. So I headed to this last button, and then at this point I pretty much had it in the bag. Even if a guard saw me as I was running up to get the hard drive, I'd either able to kill the guard or just let him try to call, and then I'd be in the boat before the alarm went off. So at this point I was basically home free, so I just didn't care if I was detected at this point or not. But thankfully I didn't get detected at this point, and I was able to run in for the touchdown. Ended up killing 10 people. Holy moly. Those poor 6 civilians. And so, as one last confirmation, I'll go ahead and go to the main menu in this part here so you can see that I did in fact have no skills in 75 detection. Of course, as you can see here, I have no skills. I'm using the Burglar perk deck, and I'm using the Thanatos and the Goliath just because. Alright, that's it guys, and as usual, thank you so much for watching.